Hey guys. So after piss farting around again, trying to work out what I'm going to talk about and where to begin, because I've been getting the nudge is getting firmer and firmer from my higher being, telling me to go a little bit deeper with the discussions around, I guess, what I've learned from, deeper delving and my recipe. And what I've learned and what I'm being taught now, to share the wisdom, and that the elders are there wanting to share the wisdom, and so they're getting a little bit antsy. Our ancestors, our elders, this tribal wisdom that's coming through, shamanic wisdom, they really want to share this, and it's the earth wisdom, shamanic wisdom, animal wisdom, like whatever you want to call it, consciousness, the wisdom of how to connect, how to be more you, basically, how to connect to the higher versions of yourself. We've been stuck so low for so long, we've forgotten how that we've got all this other stuff available to us. I previously done a video, if you wanted to check it out, one of my earlier ones, on what drugs have taught me on my journey, and I wanted to get a little bit into that because I've learned so much from it, and it completely relates. So shamanic wisdom, deep diving into your consciousness, through altered states, through altered frequency states. And I guess that's like where I'll start, because there is more and more talk now, and so where the vocabulary I can't even say that anyway. Sometimes I get stuck on the words. The vocabulary. Anyway, to speak, the words, if I could get them out, around this whole awakening, ascension, consciousness evolution, it's becoming more commonplace, and so more and more people are becoming aware and using these terms, and even if it's just in the background of their lives, they're coming to terms with that there is a lot more people out there going a little bit deeper and exploring stuff. And whatever form they're diving into that, whether it's just researching, reading and learning from someone else's point of view on what this is and what's available to them, or whether they're experiencing it within some way in their life, and we all do. It is part of the human growth experience, is evolving, maturing our mind, maturing our consciousness, maturing our knowledge. Like, it's a never-ending maturation process if you continue it. And the thing is, with there's part of this development, part of this maturation which is available to us, that has been squashed and put on the back burner and buried. Part of this, which is the shamanic nature wisdom, is our inner connection, our extrasensory gifts, that has been squashed for so long in the majority of places on the world. Some areas, like the, tribal peoples, have held on to that part of their consciousness, awareness, experience of being human. So some people have held on to this, but the majority of us, it was forgotten, buried, blah, 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 blah. But there's more and more people coming to terms, accepting the fact that that part is what they're missing. That's why they're so depressed. That's why they're so homesick. That's why nothing, their life just... What is the purpose? They've forgotten part of themselves to the point where we're just becoming really boring robot type people and really stressed and sick and blah 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 blah, because this part is like our heart. It's our true connection. It's our true authenticity. So there's more and more people looking into that plant medicine, going, silent retreats, relationships are changing. We're exploring different, authenticity and, basically that kind of stuff. It left us for so long. We went looking for it again because we need healing, and so that's the place that we're gravitating back to, because that's our medicine. So yeah, it is wisdom. It's earth medicine. It's earth wisdom is our medicine. It is what this is what we're missing. Our heart, a true human heart, earth heart within ourselves, that we're being drawn back to. We're starting to learn, and this is what's going to cure us of society's ills, our own ills. It is that part that we're missing. And so bringing in that wisdom back in this day and age, this is pretty much like, it's very similar, whatever kind of thing you jive with, like with the Atlantis wisdom coming back, with the shamanic, tribal, Lakota, American Indian wisdom coming back. It's the Atlantis, it is our star family wisdom coming back. You get in touch with one, it's all there. So no matter what area you're drawn to, this is what I'm talking about. It's this innate wisdom that we can all get in contact with. It's source, right? If you want to just go straight to it, it is our connection with source, which encompasses everything. And to get to source, you've got to go through the heart. And so it's the earth, it's the heart wisdom, it's the connection wisdom, it's the authenticity wisdom, truth wisdom, and that is how you get there. And so no matter what label you put on it, shamanic or Atlantean or galactic, it is basically, you get there wherever, which one you're kind of drawn to. You could be drawn to all of them, like I am. And so this is why, I'm talking about it, because I'm drawn to all of them, and I realize I've gotten, access to this and source because of me looking for my own, heart again. And I ended up getting there, all that. So, yeah, and I've spoken about this before, and this is what we do, If you gain wisdom, you share it. in the hopes you can help someone else. So this is what I'm doing, and this is what, you know, I'm being guided to do. Just like Moses on the mountaintop, you know, going through the desert and him having all his personal epiphanies and seeing the burning bush, and talking to God, and God saying, show them how you got there, show them the way. So this is what you do. You get there, you show others the way so they can get there. And I'm feeling it, like all the people on, you know, that are there, because when you connect it, it's just like you feel them, you know, energetically. They're all there because now you're connected. If you know, you know, like this is what happens when you get there. If you want to chat to them, they're all there. If you want the wisdom, it's there to be had once, you know, you get to this place, with, you know, within yourself. And this is the magic. This is the alchemist's gold. Gold was coming through today. Actually, I painted my nails. Molten magic. The name of the nail polish. Yeah, so I was seeing lots of gold, the good old golden days, the golden oldies, you know, all these, like the masters. They're all there throwing some wisdoms down through this connection. And if you're feeling it, if you're vibing with it, if you want to know more, if you want to chat, like if you want to connect, they're there. And it's so amazing because you don't have to. You don't have to. Like, I'm connected, but I don't have to do anything. So, you know, if I want to chat and get some advice, I, you know, mentally go there. And, you know, if I've got to do other things, or I'm not feeling it, or it's just too much, like, I just go on with my normal human life. Yeah. Anyway, it's the same with the earth wisdom, like, and connecting with earth and nature and animals. It's like, it's so free and easy, you know, like, you can go there and get the connection and get all the loving feelings whenever you want. It's always there. And, you know, you get a dose, you take your pills, like your good happy pills, and it tops you up again, and, you know, you go do your thing. And, you know, this is what shamans did. Like, you know, they would kind of be in a place where they were naturally kind of connected all the time, but if they wanted to go deeper, they would, you know, take their little concoction recipe of drugs to expand their mind further. So get that connection, like, you know, really dive into that connection. And this is what the drugs do. So all drugs change the frequency of your mind, right? And we all kind of know now, like subconscious, like there's, you know, the delta waves, the gamma, blah, like whatever. The frequency of our thinking, of our consciousness, changes what our, you know, pretty much where we are, you know, like all the different ranges when we're sleeping, whether we're dreaming or, you know, wide awake, or like what our brain is actually functioning at, like the level it's functioning at. It's all about the frequency. And so drugs change the frequency. You know, classic example, like I'm, you know, diagnosed ADHD and I have my Dexies, and, you know, I can just tell by having my Dexies, how much closer I am to that connection as to when I am not, or how much I'm just that more finely tuned in order to decide when I'm coming in and out. I think neurodivergent people are naturally swimming in and out of that connection without freaking even knowing it, understanding it. I know I have been my whole life, and I didn't know it until, now that I'm actually learning more about it, and have really dived deeper into it in order to realize what it is. So if you can just consider it levels of consciousness, and for example, with a neurodivergent person, they're in and out. I've described this before as there's animals that fly, there's animals that live kind of on the surface of the water, and there's animals swimming in the water, and there's animals on the bottom of the water, like deep sea animals. And this is the levels of consciousness. Some birds fly low, some birds fly high, and depending where you are on that, let's just say a awake state is not awake state, but normal people would be low flying birds. Birds don't really ever, the water is deep consciousness or higher self. It sounds weird that your higher self would be in the deep water, but that's what it kind of is. In the subconscious, in the deep waters, is where this, the golden lake, it is source. So subconscious is under the water, and consciousness, awake. Oh, that doesn't really make sense. I'm completely confusing you now. Anyway, there's kind of different states of consciousness that we can be in. That's what I'm getting at. And most people, I wasn't really aware of it, but most people were kind of skimming the water, the surface. Some people just never go into the water. And a lot of, let's just say, neurodivergent people, for example, naturally I kind of said I'm kind of a flying fish. I'm on the surface of the water, but I can come out whenever I kind of want. So when I come out of the water, I'm like normal human, but like the average, kind of non-awake or non-deep thinker type individual. But neurodivergent people kind of pretty much, they're connected, they're in the water, but they don't really know until you experience the other levels. Now a bird would know when they go under the water, because that's not their freaking environment whatsoever, unless you're a shag. See, some people are shags, and they do jump in the water and they're quite comfortable there, and then they fly. So neurodivergents are kind of like shags as well. And then there's the flying fish, which are more fish than birds. You see, there's kind of a difference there, and there's definite that range within neurodivergent people, whether they're a fish or a bird. They still both go under the water, and they're living in that kind of, always in that altered state of they're connected. But some people, are more water babies than birds, you know what I mean? And that's why neurodivergent people look so and look so different, and they kind of it expresses differently, because some people are in the water all the time and are floating on the surface or swimming on the surface, or other people can go in whenever they kind of want but come back out and fly the rest of the time, you know what I mean? And so there's all these different levels, and people are experiencing these different realities of consciousness all the time. Like, for example, a non-verbal autistic neurodivergent person is a deep swimmer. They barely come up to the light, and that's why they experience their reality completely different to anyone else. It doesn't mean that they're not extremely intelligent, it's just they are deep all the time. The telepathy tapes really explain that well. And there's some birds that never come to, like the albatross flies high for quite a long period of time type thing, doesn't have to come down and just doesn't, so there are some people that are just really don't experience the water at all, or you know what I mean. But anyway, these are just different altered frequencies of consciousness, of the experience of reality. And drugs, pretty much, you have a certain drug, it either, it takes you to a certain other level, like getting on an elevator. So your consciousness goes to a different space, different frequency. You change levels. And the shamans did this in order to dive deeper and commune with what we could connect with, which is the earth, the animals, star family. And we've all seen enough documentaries and everything now that we know these tribes and these shamans were indeed in contact with our star family, and were extremely intelligent for with the Mayans, developing the Mayan calendar and all that was extremely involved and precise, and all the astronomical information that. So basically, drugs have been had for an extremely long time in order to get this wisdom, to alter your state in order to commune with what you could commune with, to bring back the knowledge. And like in my other video, check it out, I talked about we have these drugs, and it is like we go in the elevator of our own awareness, our own consciousness. Like, we have levels of our own consciousness that we go on, and each of these levels we're connected with that level of consciousness, which is, it's not just us, but you go up and up and up, you realize that it's like that consciousness level, like collective consciousness. So you go up, you're connected to the collective consciousness as a whole, like just like the onion thing again. But our consciousness is the same as collective consciousness, and when we go upper level, you realize that like this level, yeah, it feels like I'm separated from everyone else, but I go up a level and I'm more connected, and yet there is more available. And you go up a level and there's more available. And as you explore these levels, how do you explain this? Without experiencing it yourself, it's so hard to explain. But it's like each one of these levels, that's just whoever's on that level, you have access to that level, them on that level. Anyway, I'll get back to the different frequencies, and so like even that isn't black and white, right? Like you can't just say, all right, give me that drug and I'll be able to do this, like go there. Like we are more, energies are slightly, I think, more complicated, more, there's more to it, but you want to kind of basic it down. So in my experience, different drugs have had different kind of vibes, frequency kind of effects, which have had different effects on me, and where what you can tap into. And so for example, like acid, I feel, is very heart based. Mushrooms is very earth mind based. Dexy is mind based. Cocaine, mind based. Meth, I've tried to think about this one because this is the one that's a little bit more difficult. Like it's ether based. That's what I'm gonna go with that, because like I've been a little bit, I've wanted to talk about it, but it's got such a bad name, and I guess rightly so. About like in my experiences, I've tapped into more than just kind of earth wisdom, maybe galactic wisdom, I don't know, spirit, ether. And so what I really wanted to get into was kind of this, because I've combined these drugs. I'm an explorer, and I guess I'm a natural shaman. I get my cauldron. An alchemist. This is just what I have done. I've experimented, and to see what my body, my mind, my consciousness, what happens. And it's super interesting to me. So acid is like a feminine drug. It's so flowy and earth based, and opens the heart, and it's feminine. And mushrooms, I think mushrooms is balanced, masculine and feminine. Dexy's cocaine, masculine. the meth is again, it's like something else. And I don't even know what it's like actually made out of. I was going to Google that to kind of actually understand it, but anyway, I'm just going to go off what my experience was. So, you know, for example, I have explored combining the different ones. So I really like, you know, not large quantities either, small quantities, microdoses. So for example, a microdose of acid and a microdose of mushrooms, and, you know, a small amount of like meth or cocaine or Dexies, for example. The combination of those different frequencies, like imagine if they were like different kind of musical instruments. They, you know, they do different things. Like even now I can feel the energy of each one, and like they're kind of alive in front of me. Like you know, if you can feel the you feel the energy of like a microdose of acid, oh, it's so feminine, and like I can see it dancing type thing. And the mushrooms is you know, like heart open, saying now open your mind. And then the like the meth or the, you know, the cocaine, like, which is igniting the mind. It's like, yeah, I just kind of got, you know, the heart starter, you know, what's that drug, the EpiPen thing into the heart when you have an overdose, and you just it's like this, well, like what cocaine is like, it's a awakener. So like meth or Dexies or you know, something, I would have to say really good cocaine. This is what I've never had really good cocaine, but it's a real shame. Or like meth, which is like a hit, a strong hit to the brain, awakening. So you can see the combination of those three is like heart open and connecting, in love and connected. And then mushrooms is like third eye, the third eye visual type thing. And then the cocaine and meth, or, you know, that type of thing to the brain is then like shooting, like it's like the little rocket, it's like the rocket fuel to then push you into the realm. So that was that little recipe there. You can see the different frequencies and like the kind of frequency journey to take your mind in the right heart-centered, third eye open catapult. And that is the trick, I think, is with any kind of shamanic journey or wanting to have like a vision quest or anything like that. Like your heart's got to be in the right place. You got to feel connected. You got to feel good. You got to you know, so like that little recipe, I found worked. Yeah, I've tried to describe it. Anyway, but you know, as with anything, like you've got to respect these things. Like this is a shamanic journey. This is serious vision quest business. This is not like partying on the weekend type thing. This is exploring your consciousness, bravely exploring your conscious to you know, to seek your inner wisdom and to seek more of yourself. So, you know, it's not for the faint-hearted, but, you know, not everyone was a shaman either, as like, you know, but it's there. And this is what yeah, sharing what journey works, what recipes work. Yeah, like the cookbook. Yeah, if the recipe works, you share it, you know. So that combination was mighty. It did mighty, mighty, mighty things for me. I can't forget the pot as well, because pot also relaxes. You know, and I'm talking small amounts of all of these, like, because they are all powerful drugs. They are all really powerful, but the magic of a small amount of these drugs, it is wonderful. And yeah, the pretty cool thing is that small amounts of these did massive things. Like, so many people have massive trips and you know, massive amounts of mushrooms to try and go further, and you know, it just changed the recipe up. And you know, and I think what it's not about me sharing the exact recipe of what worked for me or did amazing things for me. It's more about people understanding and working with their own frequency kind of thing as well, and understanding that all these drugs do actually have like a life of that DMT. Like, I can't forget DMT. Like, DMT is another one that you have to work with. DMT will smack you. It will literally tell you. DMT communicates with you. It will tell you. Like, it told me once, don't have this again if you're drinking. Don't have it again if you're drinking. Like, it communicates. Like, you know, DMT, you have DMT, you're communicating to the universe, like, literally. And that is the power and the beauty that, you know, we need to understand and respect, and think about what you want to get out of it, and use what's available to you. And yeah, you don't need large amounts. Like, I tell you what, the visions and the visuals I got on those small amounts of those drugs together, you know, I was seeing, you know, pretty much every single time having beautiful like past life visions, galactic visions of different beings, different worlds, and feeling experiences. Like, I felt being a different being, what it was like to be in that body. I saw the different hands. I felt what it was like to have like 2 eyelids. And the visions, like, literally, insane, like the power of that kind of, yeah. And very much lasting, like the effects were extremely lasting, and I think that's to do with the frequency as well, like, because having the drugs in that kind of way, you know, if you can think of frequency healing, like sound healing, like kind of you're starting low and, you know, you change the frequency as you move up the body, and then kind of pop your head off with a high note or something. Like, this is what I feel like can be done with drugs and changing your frequencies too. And I think if you get the recipe right, it's like it has a long-lasting effect. Like you've just changed your frequency quite significantly with the combination of these drugs, like, you know, the heart and the third eye, and then maybe the what is it, the soul star chakra, maybe that's the meth one. And you know, you get through that, and then so they're kind of been talking to me, encouraging me to talk about that a little bit more. You know, with full respect, like those that are interested would know at least a bit about this. I guess it's putting all the different pieces together to see how it all connects, and to see that there's not just one way to do it. You can explore your different ways, but look a bit bigger on how all these different things actually, they're different puzzle pieces, you know. Frequency healing, medicine, drugs, everything has a frequency. Everything, the different frequencies work with other frequencies in a certain way. Just like sound healing can heal our different chakras, and just how important like the masculine feminine aspect of like our frequencies and everything, like everything kind of has this masculine feminine dynamic to it within the frequency. So and to find the balance, to get a really good result, you got to get that right masculine feminine balance within the frequency as well. So do you know what I mean? Like, so with the drugs, you kind of, you know, you can't just go all mind, because for example, like if I was just having meth and I was just trying to pop my mind open constantly, you kind of get into the psychosis, right? They kind of wanted me to talk about that too. So alright, I'll quickly talk about that, because so there's a lot of talk about, like, you know, for example, meth, a lot of drugs have had this kind of talk about it, like kind of going into psychosis or being a bit drug fucked, or paranoid, kind of going looping out type thing. So I've experienced, when I was younger, someone kind of going, you know, getting this like meth psychosis kind of thing. So I've seen that from the outsider's perspective, and like what they go through. So, you know, hearing voices, seeing things that aren't there, kind of pretty much they think that there's a whole lot of stuff going on that no one else can kind of see or sense or whatever. And, you know, I always, you know, that was really, really scary, me kind of witnessing that in another person. Really, really tough experience, that, dealing with someone going through that. But so what I kind of wanted to just touch on is this rocket ship kind of thing that like I experienced, and then seeing everything that I saw and still seeing to this day, and I haven't had drugs in over a year, so I'm definitely not psychotic. I have not gone through psychosis, and I don't believe I was at the time either, even though my experience, this mind blown hearing things and I was seeing things, it made me have to consider what the meth psychosis actually is and what these people are going through. And if they were aware, I'm not a doctor, but it made me have to consider whether their consciousness was just in a different kind of dimension and they were actually connected to different realms, because it literally blew their mind into a different dimension. Their consciousness was now experiencing a whole nother kind of reality on top of this reality, which I believe is accurate. But it is so mind-blowing that if you don't really know what's going on, it can do a number on you. And I think that's the key. So obviously someone going on a vision quest is going to have a different experience to someone just partying and ends up seeing things and hearing things that no one else can, and no one around them knows what's going on. And if you obviously even a shaman wouldn't be freaking going on a vision quest every day, like not sleeping for a week, and that does things to the head. So we're not really talking about that, but in the generalization terms of where these people, their minds are going and what they're experiencing, and psychosis, and then me experiencing it later in life on a kind of vision quest type thing, I had to put two and two together, that I think this drug literally blows your mind into a frequency level that you go into this like a next level frequency. So I'm just going to put that out there, because I've also heard that you get this spiritual psychosis, and I don't think there's any drugs involved in that spiritual psychosis, but it's kind of the same thing, because all of a sudden you're hearing things, you're seeing things, and it is such a shock to the mind. Your mind's boggled so much that it kind of does a number on your mind. So you've got these two different methods. Just having an awakening, and you've got your own frequency here by so many different methods you can get there, or just anyone having meth and getting there, and both groups are shocked by what they're seeing and hearing and like witnessing, and it does a number on your mind. But obviously someone partying, having a drug, going to that level, it's extremely mind-bending, ridiculous. And obviously they're having the drugs for different reasons to what a shaman, for example, like a explorer, is having drugs for, like a vision quester. There's different areas here, right? And someone that has this awakening and has their clairs suddenly come online and is seeing things, hearing things, knowing things, all of a sudden it feels like you're going crazy. Just like, this psychosis, this is kind of psychosis as well. And so, like, here's me in the middle that kind of had both at once. But the thing is that I dove in there, so I kind of knew what I was doing. So I was aware of why and what was going on. To a certain extent, it was a choice which I was exploring, and so I could then kind of put two and two together, because I knew of that kind of psychosis experience. I am a spiritual person, that I was learning about it, and I have used drugs before, so I know effects, the effects and everything. So, and this is why it's kind of more of a shamanic exploration, that what I've done and what I have discovered, like, within myself and everything. And this is why I'm explaining it, because I can see both sides, and I can see so many similarities, and I can see such benefits if it's used, any drugs, if it's understood and respected and used in the right manner by the right people, it can do amazing things. As with any medicine, drug, it's a tool. Any tool can be used as a weapon, or something to fix, or or to make, or that type of thing. So yeah, and I can also understand that not many people understand these realms and these experiences. Like, I don't know if there'd be anyone that has probably had similar experiences or had the same little cocktail recipe that I had, and experienced the same things. Maybe there is. Yeah, see, like, a lot of creatives, like, let's just say musicians, or actors, if you've listened to some of Terrence Howard's talks, and his freaking mind-blowing realizations and the information that he's getting now, I believe that he's probably had a pretty similar experience, delving and exploring like I have, and he has come back with mind-bending knowledge and everything. So he's a definite, I reckon, similar experience, I would say. And let's just say, so many other artists, like Jim Morrison, he freaking explored. He explored big time into the, LSD, to see where his mind went. And boy, he was an intelligent, his poetry, and so anyway, so there's a lot of creative individuals with artistic talent that dive into their own nature and their own mind and use drugs, and they bring wisdoms back, and we're very lucky for it, because we get all this new music, and if more diverse natured individuals were open to this sort of delving. Like, could you imagine, you know, like Silicon Valley individuals, so the tech companies now, they all get into the psychedelics in order to expand their creativity. They know that there's wisdom there. They know that there's wisdom to be had there. They know that it up levels them, and they are using it. And you know, I believe this is the way of the future. This is the way to change things fast. If more people were doing this in the right way. And I guess that's what I really want to get across with all my videos is, you know, the little recipes that really help. And these things, these powerful tools that we can use, are there. Like, once we really get to the point of, you know, this, I was going to say this point within ourselves, but they are tools that can be used. You know, a little bit of this to open the heart, a little bit of this to expand the mind, a little bit of this to open the third eye, a little bit of that and that to go deeper. You know what I mean? Like, these are little things, and if they were there and available, and they can help. And it's awesome that, you know, there's more like centers like this, retreats and stuff, where you can have these experiences. There should be more. There should be more, and it should be open to everyone. Because it is an absolute right that we can decide what we put in our body to expand our minds, or, you know, change the frequency of our body, just like we decide what food we eat. We should be able to decide what drug we have, and they certainly shouldn't be made illegal by anyone. If only. I just kind of was getting like, you know, people are allowed to buy a gun with a license, but, you know, and you know, a gun can kill, but I guess it's that person's right still to buy one. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, it's the person, and if we can get people to really see and open up and open their hearts and minds, then there'll be less destructive stuff going on and more actual healing. Because, you know, these drugs are so healing. If we were, you know, taught about it, and, you know, and I guess this is the stuff that's coming back, because this is the wisdom of, like, what a shaman would be in a tribe as well, is like teaching what it all is, you know, sharing wisdoms instead of just being told what a rule is. It's actually you know, we should all be able to explore if we want to, and we should be, you know, all this wisdom should be available to all of us. Anyway. There is magic to be had. Yeah. And I'll leave it there. I've gone full under the water now. I'm swimming. So yeah, I think that was kind of what I wanted to get out there. It's some interesting ideas and some interesting links with them. Yeah, I mean, we all need to be more open and understanding and putting these puzzle pieces together rather than divisive talk and shaming and blaming and criticizing and judging. You know, we need to open ourselves. We need to learn. We need to look and accept and learn rather than block things out and shut paths down from exploring and, you know, black and white thinking. We need to go 50 shades of grey, man. Yeah, it's where the fun's to be had. Yeah, I'll leave it there.